Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We always talk about our health, how it's so important. We focus on our health, our weight, what we're eating, all of those things, but we never really focus on our mental health. And unfortunately, when we talk about mental health, though, even those two words, mental health, sometimes there's a certain perception that people kind of avoid it. But it's something that's so important. And especially nowadays, a lot of people are having challenges even coming out of COVID. So we're going to dig deeper into that. Your mental health, your family's mental health, and where we're at with that. She's a certified mental health coach, Christian life coach, instructor in the Real You Personality Indicator, and so much more. And it's great to have her back here. Cheryl Hines is on the program. Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you.
Oh, it's so great to have you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm hearing it more and more, especially with teens, but just everybody in general. Thankfully, it's more acceptable nowadays to say, yeah, I got to go see my therapist. Yeah, I'm going to be talking to my psychiatrist later on. If we were 10 years ago, nobody would say it. People would be afraid to admit that. What are you feeling right now? What are you hearing in terms of the mental health situation?
Especially since COVID, the mental health crisis in our country really has escalated. There have been a lot more suicide attempts, and it's really affecting the teenagers and even children. My husband and I have 8 grandchildren, and our oldest is 15. So, just talking to her and figuring out the process of where she's at emotionally and mentally is challenging in today's world. It's a difficult time for so many of us, I believe, because of COVID and then hiding behind a mask and wearing a mask, and then the fear that people are living in currently still because of the unknown, the COVID, the prices of everything. We just live in a world that is full of fear, and because of that, it's emotionally, mentally, psychologically just affecting a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. It's challenging, to say the least.
Chicken or the egg? Do you think that because there's more social media, more people are talking about it, that more people are coming forward and saying, yeah, I'm having some problems, or there's more problems going on today?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Social media is a good platform, but social media is also not a good platform. So many of the teenagers, I'll be proud to say I'm 57 years old, and when I grew up, we played outside. We didn't have video games. We didn't have as many TV programs. We didn't have social media. So we were able to have that kind of an outlet. Nowadays, children don't have, and teens don't have that outlet. Their outlet is social media, is that platform. And so I feel that has a huge impact on the teens today. Sitting around our Thanksgiving table, my 8-year-old grandson was on his tablet. My 15-year-old granddaughter was on her phone. So it's both. The platform then is also great for people to say, hey, I am struggling. Where can I go? What can I do? Who can I talk to? What do you suggest I go to? Like here locally, there's a lot of different places that people can go to get help. So I believe it's both. It falls into both categories. Not having a safe outlet, not having a safe place. Even at school, it's not safe anymore. It's just it's a different world we live in, totally, than what it was when I was 15.
And me too. We did go out and play. A lot of times your mom said, right, don't come back. Just go.
Right.
The door is closed. Go out and play. Have a great time. Now, if you look at a typical teen, they're in their room. It's dark. You have some LED lights on, and they're doing this all day long. And what are they exposed to? Let's go there. Let's peel back layers here, Cheryl. A lot of times even cutting, okay, that you would not even think of that as a teen 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You see things on TikTok or Snap, and then you think, oh, well, maybe that's okay. Or maybe that's how I can feel something, right?
Right. And like with cutting, for example, that's an outlet for people, for these kids to release some of those pent up emotions, for them to release and to feel.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to feel the emotion. They don't know how to feel the emotion. They don't know how to process through it. They don't know, they've probably had people tell them, you're not supposed to feel that way. Or they've had people tell them, you just be quiet. Or,
Right.
they've had people tell them, well, just get over it. Well, it's not as simple as being quiet or getting over it or not feeling that way, because God created us with feelings. He created us with emotions. And so we need to have a safe place in order to release those feelings and those emotions. If they're not taught, if they don't have a safe place to do that with, then they can't have an outlet. And so for cutting, it's an outlet that they have. A good outlet? No, but it's an outlet. It's just like with the alcohol and the drugs. It's not a good outlet, but it's an outlet for them to numb the pain of mom and dad being split up, numb the pain of being bullied at school, numb the pain of not knowing who they are, their identity. We live in a world of people saying that I'm this gender and God made me a different gender, and and the confusion of it all.
So true.
Growing up, I had prayer in school. Now you can't have prayer in school. Now you can't have that stuff. So they're not, they don't have hope. They feel like they have no hope. So
That really
I'm
is.
sorry.
Hope is such a key word.
Yeah. They feel like there's no hope. So if there's no hope, why live? If there's no hope, I'm going to cut. If there's no hope, I'm going to medicate. And so people feel like there is no hope. And that is I believe where the rubber meets the road is we need to feel, and we need to, as a coach, as a Christian life coach, as a mental health coach, in helping people to feel like they have hope in Jesus, their higher power, hope in something other than social media platform, hope in something other than mom and dad. There's hope, and they lose hope. If they don't know they have hope, then why live? And I think that's the bottom line of where so much of our mental health comes from is no hope, the lack of hope.
It's so true. And even when we talk about schools, fortunately, a lot of schools have intervention programs when something happens to, so let's say a teen. But what about being proactive? I mean, you said before, there's no religion in schools, whether you're on board or not. You don't even have a choice, number one. Number two, what about something like meditation? And I'm hearing a lot of schools that are doing neuro-linguistics programming as either a class or an activity. You can't even get a spot in that class because so many teen students want to do it. Why not do that more? Some kind of an outlet, but schools don't do that, by and large.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't. There is no outlet for them to learn how to have hope, or to learn how to refocus who they are. Yeah, there is no religion in school, but I think that's a shame.
Mm.
I believe that's a shame. It's our country was founded on Christian beliefs, and and it's been taken away. That's my thoughts. That's my feelings. That's my philosophy. And the bottom line is, it goes back to hope. Where is their hope? What is their hope set on? And if they have no hope, they lose. What's the purpose of living? And so then they go back to cutting and drugs, and the whole gamut of things that teenagers are involved in nowadays. It's hard.
It really
It's
is.
hard.
It really is. And so many, especially teen girls, looking at TikTok videos and Snap, that you feel that you have to attain a certain look, a certain level.
Mhm.
You're not there. Even if you take, 20 pictures, you're not, it's just, I'm not, I don't look like them. So you're
Mhm.
further depressed. What's your suggestion? Let's say a parent is dealing with something with their child, and let's say they've, talk about cutting, talk about being here or not, um, maybe substance abuse. It's a lot of those are just ways to cope. How do we, how do we help our kids in terms of coping?
First of all, I think we have to get down to what it is and what they're struggling with. Having that open dialogue. With my kids, I always taught them from the first time that they could know what right from wrong was, that if you messed up at school or if you did something wrong, you come and tell me. Come and talk to me. I'm safe. You won't be in trouble. You might be in a little bit of trouble, but you won't be in trouble. But if you don't tell me, you will be in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that conversation with our children on a daily basis and letting them know it's safe. Unfortunately, so many kids don't have a safe outlet to be able to share, to be able to dialogue, to be able to say how they're feeling and what those deep rooted feelings are and where they're coming from. So I think it's about communication. I think it's about dialogue. I think it's about getting to the root cause of what those emotions are, because all of the feelings, all of everything that teenagers go through are based on those feelings, the feelings of not being good enough, the feelings of not being pretty enough, the feelings of not matching up. Myself, my own story, I have a sister who has a master's degree and she is a professor at a college. I have a brother who is 11 months younger than I am, who retired 5 years ago. He worked for the government. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Brilliant man. I was an average student. I had B's, but I was an average student, in my opinion. And so how did I fit in? Where did I fit in? I didn't know where I fit in. I didn't know how to feel. I did, and I had great parents, great parents. But it was that identity of not knowing where I fit in and not having that safe place to talk to and share with somebody who really understood me and got me. So for me, I didn't go to cutting. I mean, cutting wasn't a thing.
Right.
The bad kids did the drugs and the drinking. I wasn't going to be a bad kid. I grew up in a Christian home. What did I do? I went to the boys. And the boys are what led me to where I ended up, being married to two addicts and even though it was in church, but that led me down a path of almost self-destruction. I have 3 amazing kids. I have 8 amazing grandchildren. Been married again for 11 years to my now husband. But it was because I had to go to that therapist. I had to go to that counselor. I had to have intense 3-4 years of counseling myself in order to understand how to change the mindset, how to change the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions of who I was. And that's where where teenagers are now, and adults are. They don't have that safe place. That's why I love Celebrate Recovery. And you didn't mention this, but I'm the ministry leader of our Celebrate Recovery, which is a faith-based 12-step program for anybody with hurts, habits, and hangups. Why do I love this ministry? Because for the first time, some people that walk through these doors understand that they have a safe place, that they can share those emotional things with, and they realize they're not alone. And so in regards to teenagers, finding them an outlet, finding them a safe place to go where they realize they're not alone, where they can share some of these feelings, these hearts issues, these emotions, that's going to unpack the lie and help them replace it with the truth, which then is going to give them hope. whether that's a secular program or whether that's a Christian program. For me, because I'm a Christian and because I'm a Christian life coach, I will always direct them that way. But I do know that there are some secular programs that are available to teens that will help them learn how to unpack what is truth and what is a lie. So I think that in itself is the nut and bolts of a lot of our mental health issues today.
No, I appreciate you sharing your journey, and it almost seems like you were looking for acceptance. You had two siblings; they were doing this over here, you're over here, and it looked like you went to reaching out to boys to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seems like.
I did.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I did. That was my journey. Then I have a younger sister who's like 6 years younger than me, and she was the baby. So where did Cheryl really fit in? And so for me, I went to the boys. That's what I went to help fill that empty spot of my heart.
and
Even
no,
though,
and no judgment, because if you speak to your parents, well, they are connected to your siblings, obviously. So it's not the same. When you go to somebody just completely impartial, that can just make you feel better at that time. So yeah, yours is unlike lots of other stories. A lot of girls do the same thing.
right.
And yes, I was going to get to the ministry. The one thing is, I wish we could do is make it cool. Because so many kids will look at, connected to a church or connected to, a ministry. Well, that's not really cool. I mean, I can't even get my daughter to play basketball because it's not cool.
Okay.
If there was a way we could rebrand it, relabel it, do something, behind the scenes. Let's start making, snap videos and TikTok and elevate it that way so it's more widely accepted. But I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you include religion or not, it's an opportunity for teens to get together, to talk about it, to, without feeling pressured, like, oh, I got to go to therapy again.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes therapy doesn't look like a traditional therapy either. Therapy can be having conversation with somebody, and as a coach, coming alongside a child, a teenager, an adult, and saying, "Oh, well, what do you think about this?" And starting to just simply ask questions and in those questions, helping them to, "Oh, you mean I can think this way? Oh, sure. I can feel this way. Oh, yeah." And helping them, and it can just be in conversation. It doesn't have to be a professional therapist that will help them unpack some of the, like I said, the lie from a truth.
What about family therapy? Is that, or family coaching? Is that something you do?
I have not,
Okay.
but I could.
Yeah,
I could.
I only bring that up because a lot of times I hear that from people. Yeah, you got to go, think about, family coaching, or, something where it's family connected, as opposed to just, I'm going to drop my, teenager off for 45 minutes and pick them up and hope everything, hope they had a productive session.
Right. I think that it takes a village, and sometimes that village is family, sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that sometimes behind the scenes of a teenager's angst is a family dynamic.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but sometimes. So sometimes family therapy would be really, really crucial for a teenager, and sometimes it wouldn't be, just because if they come from a background of abuse, verbal, emotional, mental, physical, sexual abuse, then having family therapy might not necessarily be the best choice for that teenager.
And depending on your parents or the people that are involved in the session, could turn bad, could turn toxic, could turn negative, and that's the complete opposite of what we want to take place in that session. One thing, Cheryl, I want to get to. First of all, what's your website?
My website, it is insightlifecoaching.coachsolutions.cc. That's insightlifecoaching.coachsolutions.cc.
Gotcha. The Real You. You're an instructor in the Real You Personality Indicator. I have never heard of that. What is that?
Okay. Well, it was written by Vicki Barnes. And it's basically the outside of the book. She has 4 different t-shirts. So it's a red, green, blue, and yellow. Producer, promoter, planner, and a peacekeeper. And each of those personalities then have different personality, God-given personalities. Like for me, I'm a producer planner. I used to rub most women wrong because I have more of a man's personality in some regards than I do a typical woman's personality. And so like a planner producer, it's that take charge kind of a person where I see what needs to be done. I'm not afraid to tell people what to, basically what to do and how to do it and what I want to have done. So it falls along the same lines of Gallup, or some of the other personalities, but this is just very specific, a Christian personality indicator. One of the things I love how Vicki has done it is the strengths of the personality. Alongside of that, instead of saying that it's a weakness, she calls it a blind spot. And so helping understand that instead of, this is the strength, but this is a blind spot, identifying what the blind spot is and then taking that blind spot and turning it into a strength. So for me, I was introduced to this 6 years ago, and it really was life-changing for me. I didn't like the personality that God had given me. I didn't like that strength. To me, it was a weakness. But when I realized that it was a God-given strength and a God-given personality, but I had these blind spots, I was able to look at the blind spots, change those blind spots into strengths, allow God to soften some of the personality to not be so in your face, but to be bold still. So it's really life-changing and life-altering for a lot of people when they really understand how God has created them and their personality. And in that regards, it's just really, it's significant. So I just really enjoy it. It's a good program.
I'm fascinated. Can you give us I think it was 4 P's again?
Promoter, producer, planner, and peacekeeper.
It's interesting when you say those, because right away we get that picture. Which one are we? Or if you had to put a number on them, I would be number 1. I would be that. Number 2 there. That's definitely cool. That's 3. Interesting.
Right.
Wow.
So when you do the indicator chart, it has words, and so sometimes you have to number them 1 to 4. So like, how often would you? I don't know, I'd have to look at a word, but how often would you do this word? Sometimes it seems like if it would really be balanced all the way across. So then you have to choose, okay, number 4, let's say producer. I do a lot of producing. I'm bold. So if I'm bold, that's number 4. And then doing from 4, 3, 2, and 1 down to the least often or the least strength. It's really interesting to see exactly how it works out.
Cool.
And yeah. And
Wow.
after I've done it often enough, I start reading people, not reading people, but looking at people and having talked to them. You're probably a red. So red, blue, green, and yellow are the colors of the t-shirts. So I'd say you're probably a red. You're a producer. You're probably a blue. You're a planner. Promoter would be yellow. Promoter's more fun. They are more the life of the party. The peacekeeper is a green t-shirt, and they're more, they're more quiet. They're not as bold as the red is, and they just want to keep peace. And it's interesting. It's a really cool. You can actually find her not on Amazon, but if people want to know more, just go to my website and call me and I'll have a chat with you. I'd love to do that.
So real quick, in terms of the the personality indicator. So somebody could reach out to you and you walk them through it. I mean, do you have a program for that? Because I find it fascinating. I think it really kind of nails. It's almost like coaching or consulting, but you're
Right.
pulling back somebody's layers to, oh, that's what you are. That's what you really should be, or you really feel that you should be, but you're not attaining that.
Right. Yeah, it is. I could. Yeah. What I would do is I would mail them an indicator, and give them, and then give them the directions on how to take the indicator. And then I could do a Zoom, or I could do it on the phone, and walk through with them how that looks, what that looks like. I would include in that, then would probably email them or mail them another packet of what, let's say they're blue-red. So what their strengths would be versus what their blind spots would be, and walking with them, through that, and helping them unpack and identify all of that. Vicki also has written a book. And so, if they'd be interested in that, I could mail them the book, and they could,
Very interesting.
read it for themselves. So
I saw it down here and I'm like, I gotta find out about this. And I'm glad I did. Okay. Final question here. The producer, my visual of the producer is somebody who produces in terms of work. They're always working, they're always churning it out, they make sure it gets done, but not necessarily the definition of that. It could also be somebody with a very strong personality.
correct.
Okay.
All of those. Yeah.
Could it be
all of
somebody
those.
that has a fairly strong personality, but is a really like a worker bee?
Yes.
Okay, so there's different degrees. All right, interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm the producer, I am the planner, the peacekeeper, and what was the last one? The
Promoter.
promoter.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't be the
Promoter
promoter
is
until you do the other stuff.
What's that?
I can't be the promoter unless I get the other stuff done. I don't know. That's where my mind goes. Yeah. Interesting
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to send you an indicator, Steve, and you could do it, and then we could see exactly where that personality falls. So
I'm excited and scared at the same time. I know what comes out of that. Cheryl, great talking with you today. Again, your website, if somebody wants to learn more, you do so many different types of coaching, right down to Christian life coaching. How do we reach you?
insightlifecoaching.coachsolutions.cc.
Yeah, great having you on today. Yeah,
Thank you.
And the mental health thing, not the most, exciting topic for a lot of us, but so important for us to talk about. And I'm glad we did. It's, I think that resonates with a lot of people dealing with that either personally or knowing somebody else. Again, I just got a text last night, a friend whose daughter is having a situation, and it's life. So we have to navigate through it. And
Right.
for that, we got you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.